May the Most High creative all bless us. Okay, this is part 2 of the witchcraft. Alright, so I'm going to explain a few things that happened to me for me to become a seer. When I say a seer, I can see, I'm very observant in this realm, and through different angles, I am able to see into the spiritual realm too. Okay, my spirit travels into the spiritual world, and I'm able, because that my soul was unlocked because of a spiritual attack. My soul was unlocked. You know, I was able to see into the spiritual realm. I saw my soul, everything, because of the lady that did witchcraft. I was attacked by one of her demons, and this thing tried to go inside of me, but something pushed the leg out. His left leg, I was on a bed, and his left leg was halfway into my stomach. He was trying to get inside of me and possess me, but there was something powerful that pushed this being, this leg, back out of me, and it was trying hard, and it looked at me like, what's going on? How I can't get into this human? And it got mad, and it went rah and vanished. And that's when I put my clothes on and I left. But the thing is, demons move like the mob, so they will come after you and keep coming after you again too. They have rage. There's nothing but chaos and rage within these beings. All right, so after that, it left a spiritual residue with me, because my soul, my higher being, knew that I was going to be under attack, but the physical me didn't know that it was going to be coming on full-fledged. So what ended up happening was I started tapping into the spirit realm. My soul started taking me on these journeys of what's really going on in the spiritual realm. So I went into this. My spirit was shown one night that I was going into these mansions. See, the thing is, some of these beings have mansions. The more powerful these beings are, the more prestigious they live. It sounds crazy, but follow me. I was shown a premonition. I was going into this mansion, but it was like, it looked like, Connecticut or Massachusetts or something like that. Because it had like little grassy brown grass, and then in the back of this mansion it had like woods. So it's one of those areas where it's like nice homes, but it's far apart from each other and all that. You gotta have a car. So I'm walking up the grass, the brown grass, and I went into this mansion, and I'm looking around. It's beautiful stuff. It's stuff encased and all that. The walls were white, the carpet is red and all that. So I'm walking in, and I get further, and then the lights start to flicker in the mansion, and I just got this feeling of dread. So I had to be careful, you know what I mean? And then I turned around. I was a couple of feet away from the door, and then a hat man, shadow demon, the one that attacked me, came in the door, and he closed the door behind him. I didn't know this was going to turn into a spiritual attack. It's like they almost tried to set me up, like they knew this was going to happen. So I had no choice but to see. These things will feed on your energy. They will literally devour your spirit and soul. So you can't play with these things like that. It's like almost going next to a lion and expecting a lion or a shark not to eat you. That's in their nature, So I said, nah, I can't go back to that door. This thing is right in front of the door. Let me keep going further into the mansion. So I start going into the mansion. From the left and the right, there's rooms, and these steps that go up to a second floor with more rooms in the mansion. And I start hearing growling like wolves, like and I started seeing a whole bunch of staticky, like a TV static, the old TVs where it just be like shh, these beings all stuck together with red eyes, with the hats on, growling like wolves, and they all running after me, coming down the steps, and some coming out the rooms on both sides of it. So I keep running, because down the long hall is a window, and these wolf like hat man creatures, they bunching together and running after me, coming. So I'm running. I bust through the window, and they right there on my tail, growling by the window. you could hear them. And I thought I was going to hit the floor, but I ended up floating in the air. You know what I mean? Just to show you, my spirit was literally under attack. So what happened was, this was my soul. I was soul traveling, out of body experience. So what I ended up flying around the city of Chicago where I'm at, and I was trying to open windows. See, what happens is the buildings and everything looks kind of dull, but everywhere else looks regular. But the buildings are kind of dull, and when I tried to open windows, it's like I couldn't open it. Now I understand it's because I was in a spiritual form, and I can't really open physical things, or I don't know how to do it. I can only go through things that's on windows and things like that. It has to already be open, or in the spirit world you wouldn't be able to open the windows up. So I don't know if it was a spiritual barrier or something. It's laws, different type of laws in the spiritual world. So I ended up being gravitated, like a spirit pulled me in a direction. I wasn't able to fly at will anymore, and I landed in an area where it's like concrete blocks in a road. And I ended up being a little child, like a little black kid. So I was walking around, and I had friends. I had like 3 other friends. It must have been like angelic beings or something, but they were nice, and they were like showing me around the area because I was like unfamiliar. And it was a guy, it was a priest, and he had on glasses, and he had on the Catholic priest suit with the white thing that stuck, the collar, and he had on all black, and he was walking around a little town with the Bible, and he was just looking at me, you know what I mean? Because he looked at me, maybe because I was new in town or whatever. But I was running around with the kids, and all of a sudden they had a mass, some sort of mass, because it had like the Catholic priest, and they had on white with the red and all that, and everybody in the town got gathered. And it was a black girl there, and I ended up seeing her, and I was like, damn, what you doing in this town? And she was looking at me like, what you doing here? Because we were the only 2 black kids there. Everybody else was different, Caucasian and stuff like that. So she was looking at me like, why are you here? And they laid the girl down, the pretty black girl, right? I spoke about this many years ago. They laid her down on like this wooden crate thing on wheels. And I'm like, okay, this is part of the mass, I guess. And what happened next was there was this guy. He came out, big guy. He had on like this mask, this butcher mask, right? And he was big. He already looked like he'd been stained up, like he'd been butchering animals all day. And he had these tools wrapped up in this cloth, and he just rolled it across this table like, and it ended up being like these weapons and shit. So it was like these jagged edge blade he picked up. It was like a long broken blade, like it was already used. And he was looking at it, and I'm like, yo, hold up, what's going on with this? And she was just, and they tied her down to the wooden crate on wheels. So I'm like, yo, what the fuck? Like, what's happening? Like, like I'm looking at the kids looking at me like they were literally showing me what happened. Hold on, Kia, there. So, thank you. Go give it to Kelsey. So, what ended up happening was the guy, the butcher, he came down on her neck and chopped the neck and pulled the blade out. And when her neck jerked, and she was just staring at me. Blood splattered on me and all that and everybody. I was like, yo, what's this? What the fuck is this? And I started bagging up. And she was just staring at me, and he did it again. Hacked her again and pulled it out. And by that time, I was gonna sit there. I was gonna go sit down, have a seat. And then he did it again, and have a seat. And when he did it again, I bagged up, and I ran, and I went to this room. It had these rooms full of like tool shed. It was like a tool shed full of like brooms and hoses and different stuff to clean and different things. And I hid in there, and I was like, I was crying, and then the other kids came in there and they hugged me and they started crying too with me. Like the Chinese boy had an Indian boy and a Caucasian boy, and we were all crying together. They looked at me and they was crying, and I was like, there's no such thing as heroes. There's no such thing as heroes, because nobody helped her and all that. And we used to, these little kids, and the priest that was there, he was praying over he was praying over the ceremony while they was hacking this girl, you know what I mean? And I was like, oh shit. So I was witness to a sacrifice, and it was like a pope-like figure, you know what I mean? He was conducting the whole thing. So, you know, I was shown this. And for proof of that is, I was just looking up a video where somebody went into a mansion in Manchester, somewhere, Massachusetts, and they took a video of this abandoned haunted mansion. It's called Lamp Mansion, and they took the video around, and right there by the window it was a Hatman shadow right there. See, these things are in shadows. And the case where that little girl, where these 3 girls, they hacked their 7 or 12-year-old friend in the middle of the woods. And when they got caught up by the police, they said because the Slender Man made them do it, they promised that if they did this, if they sacrificed their friend, they were going to live with them at their mansion. They have a mansion. These things live in mansions. How the fuck I know that? That's because I seen it. So before I saw my soul, I was being attacked. My soul was preparing me for what was to come. It was showing me like glimpses of different things of how they operate in the spiritual realm here on earth. Okay? They are the ones that make these people do these sacrifices and all these things for power. People are doing witchcraft. So when I ended up seeing my soul, and I turned into this unbelievably powerful being, this galactic being and all that, you know what I'm saying? That's when I truly awoke, and that's when they stopped messing with me. But the spiritual residue now, I already tapped into it. I started seeing into the future, and that's when I started seeing the future of America, and it was grimy. I told my friends about this many years ago when I first started my videos, man. It was like people was getting sick way before this the corona thing came. I had a vision that people was sick, but what ended up happening was they were like magnetic kind of, they were infected with something. They wasn't like zombies to bite, but they were infected, begging people for help, but you couldn't help them because they were infected with something. And it was making them like they had the ability to like stick to walls and crawl on the walls like lizards and things, but they were in pain, and they looked scaly at the skins and stuff. They looked like they had bumps and all that, like pus bumps and stuff, and they begging for help, but you can't touch them, you can't go near them. And some people, funny enough, when they took that jab, they could stick like metal parts to them and stuff like that. Those are the people that's going to have this turning event thing that's coming. But some people that took it, they're not going to turn because they are protected. There's a lot of people that's protected in the spiritual realm without even knowing it, but you don't know how, because you know, you're living this life that doesn't show you the spiritual realm. So you have to go within. You have to go within, man. These things that y'all don't see, these times are cracking down, man. It's looking like it's war. Different things in the spiritual realm are aligning, so people got to wake up now. Okay, spiritually, get your life in order. Stop trying to figure things out and all that about the world and, you know, all these different things. Wake up, man. Get yourself spiritually aligned. I got to do it too, man. It's a battle. But after that, I started seeing America. So the people who was infected, they started crawling everywhere, sticking to the walls and stuff like that, and crawling after me, saying, help me and stuff. So sit down, have a seat. So they were saying like, help. So I ended up running to a train station, and this train station, it had like these shutters that were closing, and I was running to the shutter because it was many of them. They were just begging me for help, and I was running, but the shutter closed before I could make it. But it had like this plastic window that I could bust through. You know what I mean? The spirit was showing me like, nah, you gonna make it through there, because we're showing you what's to come in America. So I ended up going through the plastic it was a metal shutter, but it had a plastic window for me to go through. So I went through it, and it shut. It was like it was no more there, and the people were banging on their help. So it was 3 trains leaving from Chicago, and to my amazement, it was like people getting off like it was a regular stop or something. I'm like, y'all don't see what's going on out here? So 2 trains left. It was one more, And I ended up seeing one of my childhood friends come off the train, and he had like bumps on his face and all that. He was like, "What's up, Keon? What's going on?" He tried to make me stay. And I was like, "Nah, man. Matter of fact," I'm like, "Why your ears look like that? Why you look like you infected with something?" He's like, "I'm alright, I'm alright." I was like, "Nah, you not alright, man. There's something going on with you." And he started smiling and he walked away. So I hopped on the train, and it was soldiers, right? It was soldiers all black with the helmets and all that, and they had guns and everything. And it was people on there coughing, and they were sick. You could see the sweat on their face. They looked like they were pale skin and all that, sweating through their shirts and all that. People with their families and all that. And it was regular people that weren't showing those symptoms, right? So I was looking around like, why they got us all mixed up on a train if we trying to get away from the infected? So I moved over to the soldiers. It was different groups of soldiers on different carts. So I went over to the soldiers hanging out together. It was like 5 of them, and they laughing and chilling. So I went over to them. One of them pushed me. He was like, "Get back with the civilians." I looked at him. I was like, "Man, some of the civilians are sick. I'm not finna get sick." And he pushed me again. He was like, "Get back with the civilians." So I'm like, "Man, don't be pushing on me. I'm not going over there and being sick. Why y'all got the sick mixed with the regular people for you? Where we going?" You know what I'm saying? I started getting like, "Yo, what's up? What's happening with this?" So when the soldier grabbed me again, man, I smacked him like, bah, like, you know what I mean? I'm not no fool. I could see some things going on. And by then the train started moving slow towards the destination, like real slow. So when I smacked the helmet off, I looked at him, and they had the guy had red. It was a Caucasian guy. He had red rings around both his eyes. Like, it was like red, but it was like freckly, kind of almost like he was something different. And he opened his mouth, and he had like these tiny jagged sharp teeth. Like, they looked like they were like, they looked like they were some sort of shark man or something. I was like, what the fuck? Then they started taking off the helmets, and they were showing themselves look like these little shark man creatures, like they were made in a lab or something. And I started looking around at them, and I grabbed him like, nah, because now that I see this, y'all gonna try to kill me. So I grabbed the one that I got into it with, and I put the automatic rifle to his head. And I looked around, and they were aiming at me. They were trying to blow me down. So I had the gun to his head and stuff like that, because I know how to do a little martial arts, and I'm a warrior. I'm not stupid. So if I see he's looking crazy, man, I'm a react first. I'm just let you know that now. So I put the gun to his head, and I started backing up by the train door, and I pushed him, and I jumped off the train. They tried to shoot me down. And, yeah, baby. Yeah, hold on, I got you. And I was able to get off the train, and it was looking around in Chicago. Chicago looked like it had just been destroyed, like chaos, all chaos happening. Cars were left on and everything. And then I had a dream that we were headed to Florida in a car, because whatever happened, I knew it. We were trying to escape United States, and the last plane was leaving out from Florida. So everybody, it was like thousands of people on expressways in Florida trying to make it to that last plane. And when I got there with my family, the gates were closing, but I was able to send my family through. Something happened with my passport where I had to get something verified, and I was stuck here. But my family, we seen the last plane fly over our heads while the majority of people were waiting, but the gates closed on us. And the army dude was like, "Man, I'm sorry, this is the last plane. The airport is now closed. No more planes flying out of America." And people were screaming like, "No!" Running, like just running frantically, man. Everybody left their cars on the expressways. Everybody left their cars, and they was just running in different directions and all that. And I was walking like I knew this shit was gonna happen. I said it just like that, like I knew this shit was gonna happen. Like, you know how you knew something was gonna happen, but everybody downplayed it because the sheep will just go back to being asleep, and then you'd be like, all right, maybe if I'm cool, a couple years have passed by and everything will go back to normal. No need to panic. But it came, and I was like, fuck. I was mad at myself, because it was like, I was glad my family made it out, you know what I'm saying, my kids and my girl and all that. And I knew, I was like, man, whatever come, I'ma just have to face it, because I'm a soldier, I'm a warrior. I was made to go through this, you know what I mean? The physical realm is not here to stay, so whatever happened, happened. I'ma die for a reason and a cause, to keep humanity going, to save these people or whatever. But I was walking while people was running around like, no, no, frantic chaos. And I was like, I knew this shit was gonna happen. And then it came into my last premonition, where the war was, the New World Order soldiers were killing out the last of the people that were, like, you know, rebellious against their system. And it was like Donald Trump, he finally announced, I was sitting in a bar, and it was a TV, the bar was destroyed. It looked like it was a war in America, and Chicago was just desolated. And it was like to the point where people were like scavenging different things or whatever. The world became, and it started looking like Mad Max. And what ended up happening was, I was chilling in a bar, and I was hitting some Hennessy. And when I hit the Hennessy, Donald Trump was on the screen, the TV screen. So we all looked up, and he had a stack of papers. He hit the papers on the desk, and he was like, it's time for the New World Order. As soon as he said that, a blast came through the through the wall, the little broken walls of the bar and all that. And it ended up being these New World Order soldiers in all black, you know, with the red eyes thing, the helmets, the same ones with the shark face, but they had their helmets on. And they were like killing everybody. The tanks were hitting people and all that. I'm seeing this. It was like an open area of land and all that. People were getting killed. So I'm hiding behind broken pieces of cars and stuff like that, trying to move around. And it was a big, huge mountain in the earth, like, and I looked around, right? And you ever seen Prometheus, when the guy in the beginning, the engineer, was drinking the poison to kill himself, and he looked up, but it was a huge disc ship, and it turned on its axis and it went through the clouds. It was one of those huge ships, exactly like that. It was further in the distance, and it was moving around the ground, and it was shooting these laser beams. They had these 2 laser guns on the side. It wasn't like a disc like this, it turned like this, and it was flying, shooting the ground. And every time it shot the ground, the whole ground would wobble and people would fall, because it was huge like that. A loud trumpet blew by the mountain, like this crater in the ground, like, so everybody looked up, even the New World Order soldiers. And lo and behold, man, it had these reptilians riding beasts, armies of them, and they jumped off the mountain on these beasts and jumped down. Some jumped down on the soldiers, regular people, and they started killing everybody. New World Order soldiers, humans. They had like this technology where it was like these staffs with like these spears with like an electrical tip or something, and they were stabbing through people, lifting them up and all that. The beast they would ride on would crush people and eat them and all that. So I'm running away from all that, right? They had a dig out on the side of the mountain where they were marching down and all that too. Some were jumping off the top on their beasts, and some were like marching down. So I'm in a cut waiting, looking at all this chaos and war. And then when the last of them came down from the dig out in the mountain, this crater thing. See, that's why I think the reptiles, they've been here. It's like they've been in the earth though, and they've been preparing. So I went up the dig, and I went to the top, and it was another army of them waiting, you know what I mean? But in front of them was like 4 of them. You could tell that it was the leaders, and it was one of them in the middle. He was like the prince of the reptilians, you could tell. And he looked scaly, like the green scale skin crocodile, and it was like and his teeth was just short and jagged, and he was smiling, proud looking being. And he had on this all white sash on his beast, and he had on this dress, this like white smooth thing, and it had a blue sash wrapped around it, like this blue linen cloth thing of royalty, you could tell. And it was connected by this golden, he had a golden big old circular disc thing right here on his chest, that was connecting the blue sash that's wrapped around him in the all white linen. and you could tell it was like some sort of designs. It looked like it was a map, like a galactic map or something golden, and it had like these designs and lines and stuff. And I did research on it, and it looked like it was like a star map, like an ancient star map, but it was like a monument of his that was pinned to his chest or something with the sash and all that, and he was just there. You could tell he was the leader of them things, like the prince. And it sound weird, man, but a lot of this stuff, man, is gonna come. America gonna get crazy, and I'm telling you, it's a lot of stuff that I've been shown because of this thing, man. They left that spiritual residue on me, and man, get yourself in order, y'all. May the Most High bless us.